Hi, this is Bonnie. Let me show you a few ideas for learning to shade when you're doing thread sketching or thread painting. The first one I'm doing is just with a straight stitch pulled back and forth over the darkest areas of the shading. And a reason I start with the dark areas is because I can go over it easily with a slightly lighter color of thread if it's too intense. Now we're going to go over lots of dark areas, but we're not going to make solid lines. We're making kind of hair-like strokes because of the texture on this animal. Remember to check the direction your stitches are going and turn your fabric as needed so that the direction is correct for the picture you're doing. You don't have to match the colors of the picture exactly, but do pay close attention to the values so that you get your darkest darks where they are darkest in the picture. Now I'm not going to be stitching over like the little toenails or the eyes or parts of the animal that don't have a fur-like texture. I'm going to let those stand on their own. Did you notice how I just did a kind of a straight line of stitching across the bottom of this little guy? I didn't really need texture there, I just wanted to move from one area to another. One way to find the right thread to paint with is to lay the thread ends right on the background you're using. The other is to use something like a red vinyl or ruby beholder. Lay that over your picture with thread ends on, and the ones that disappear are the ones that are going to make exact matches to your background. Moving on to a slightly darker value than the first one, I'm stitching into the first value and out with a straight stitch. In free motion stitching, you control the length of your stitches by how fast you move the fabric under the needle and how fast you run the motor itself. Now I'm switching to a zigzag stitch. You can see the difference in how the needle moves. Some people prefer zigzag, some people prefer straight for doing this. I think a zigzag is a little bit harder to control, but you try out both, see which you like. This is a really good way to blend your dark and next lightest values together so you don't see a hard line where one starts and the other stops. As you can see on this print, there's a darker side and a lighter side to the image. So I'm adding more dark thread on the dark side with my zigzag, and I'm really following along with what is printed on the fabric. There is this darker area on the right that is not on the left. Keep paying attention to the direction of the lines of the fur on the image. If your direction gets off, just go over those same stitches with the new direction that you like better. Remember, you can always stitch over what you've already done. Here's a third technique for you. If you want to make long stitches, you can do so by turning the hand wheel as you move the fabric. Or you can stitch very, very slowly. Maybe put your motor position for speed to the lowest one possible, and then pull quite a ways on the fabric as you make each stitch. At any step along the way, you can switch to a gold or a yellow in this case to put in some of the background color that's on the print. But remember, you don't have to fill in the whole thing. We're giving the illusion of some fur on this guy, and we don't have to have the whole print colored in as such. It will just be the background showing through with some wonderful stitches to give it texture. Another technique you might want to try, especially for long fur, would be to turn the hand wheel as you move the fabric under the needle. This can create some very long stitches like I'm doing here, or you could slow down the speed of the machine so that it's at its very slowest, and then move the fabric quickly under the needle. I think it works well to sew whiskers and eyebrow hairs with a very fast stitch to make it look like a solid straight line. It doesn't hurt to emphasize it by going back and forth over that same stitching. I was tempted to do more stitching on this and show you how to do the tan areas, but they'd really be done the same. So I just want to mention this is practice. This is just for your own learning. So do as much or as little as you wish. And remember, practice makes you better. Have fun.